Hey folks, so today I'm going to be installing a new step for our camper. This is a 2019 Winnebago Micro Mini 1808 FBS. One thing to note is it came from the factory with a single step, and the height is pretty high. It's a pretty big step up, so normally we put a little step right there and then we step onto that and then we go into the camper. It came from the factory with a lifted suspension, because they call it off-road package or something, with truck tires and stuff. At any rate, this thing is pretty flimsy. Usually I have to secure it with like a bungee cord or something while we're traveling. And so I looked around for a lot of different steps. One that namely would have like maybe 2 steps that fit this width. And didn't have a whole lot of luck. I found, the single step, but nothing that quite fit this opening here. And then I found out that Lippert makes a step that folds up into the door. It's right here. It's got 3 steps. The nice thing about these is they will go all the way to the ground. They have these adjustable feet here that will extend down to the ground. If you come into a campsite that might be a little bit uneven or have a lower end here, lower, depression right here next to the door. The way it attaches is through this little flap here with these holes that will screw into the floorboard. Okay, I started doing a little bit of work here, but so anyways, there was this threshold here. You have to remove this, which I've already done, because that flange I told you about fits right here, right up to this piece of metal. You want to leave this in place, but you'll butt that right up to here and then screw it in place, and they provide all the hardware. You can either go through the floor or use some provided wood screws, provided you have a wood floor to screw into. Alright, so I removed the step here and I got the step in place, and this is what it would look like while it's stored and going down the road. There is this mechanism here that holds it and locks it in place. So if I pull on it, it's locked. If I do this, it'll be able to pull out. I haven't yet screwed it in, but what I wanted to do is get this adjustment right. So what I had to do is take these bolts, loosen these bolts, and push these so that this flange sits in front. And if you can see that, sits in front of the door where there's this little fuzzy stuff, sits right on top of that. And then there's a little lever back here that goes behind it to lock it in place. You want to get both of these to the edge. And this was not catching when it was in a down position. It wasn't all the way over, so I had to loosen this bolt while it was in the down position, and then it allowed this to expand this way so that this lever goes behind here. And then I just tightened the bolt while it's in this position and did the same over here. So then when I pull it this way, it then releases it so that it can be pulled forward. So that's how I did that. All right, so the next thing I need to do is screw this in place, and it'll be pretty much done. I may have to adjust the feet up and down, but we'll see what that looks like when we take it out. One thing I wanted to note is that when you take it out and it's down, you can close the door, you can close the screen door, do whatever while it's out and down. You don't need to put it over. This is only for when you travel and going down the road. You tuck it away, lock it in place, and go down the road. And this is about this is what it's going to look like, because this is flush right here. It rattles a little bit, but it's pretty tight in there. So I'm not worried about it too much. I suppose if you want to get rid of that rattle, you could put something in between there, but it's tight enough. Okay, So I've got my screws in place. I did a pilot hole for each one. There's 10 screws, and I just put it in the middle in case I need to adjust it back and forth. Now, they do say, you know, for better, well, I think they said linoleum, do the bolts. This is linoleum, but there's wood underneath. I could do the bolts if there's an issue. The problem is this camper has a lot of insulation underneath and then a plastic barrier, so it's kind of soft underneath. So I don't know how that's going to work with the bolts kind of piercing through that insulation and then the plastic barrier. So that's why I just did these screws. Anyways, it seems pretty solid. Let's see how it works. But just one-handed operation. So there's a step. That little flat piece that I screwed in is covered by this plate here, so this becomes sort of like the new threshold. It looks like it's pretty well centered. It's nice to have this low to the ground first one in case we need to have any more adjustability with anything. So the nice thing about this is it is super stable. This thing is very heavy duty, powder coated steel, heavy gauge, nice huge first step, and the second and third steps are a little smaller in terms of depth, but that first step is nice and deep. I think this is going to be great too for our dog to get up and down out of the trailer. But yeah, that's what it looks like. And if we close the door closes. Screen door. No issue right here at all. Put it in place where it sets there and just lock it. I think this is a great step. It's a huge upgrade over our old one, and they store out of the way when we're not using them, and highly recommended, I suppose. I mean, we'll see how this goes, but so far I don't see, there's very easy to install. Doesn't seem like there's a lot of failure points on this thing. It comes all assembled in one piece. But yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching, guys.